Happy Thursday to everyone. Home stretch of baseball's regular season. Welcome into Betting Weekly Hardball. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero as things are tightening and then loosening in other divisions. And we have some more clinchings last night. We have games going on right now. So much to get through. How are you, Chris?
Pretty good. Last night was pretty exciting. You have Schwarber hitting 2 home runs. Judge hits 2 home runs. And then what do you get? You get the big dumper with 2 home runs, number 60. Just a pretty incredible night in baseball.
I believe it's the first time players with 50-plus home runs went yard multiple times this late in the season or something like that. But you're right. It definitely added a ton of intrigue to not only the playoff races, but also the MVP race. And that has been wild down the stretch in the American League. Cal Raleigh, now the minus 190 favorite at Bet Rivers. Pretty wild stuff considering Judge was well over minus 1,000 not too long ago. And I've said it all summer or the end of the summer that all summer we also had Nafisa Collier, who was like minus 2,000 MVP. She didn't win. And then Otani's numbers got up that high, came down, and are now back up that high. The National League Rookie of the Year race is interesting as well. So we're going to get into a lot of things. But just want to remind everyone, if you like what you hear on our shows, sign up for the newsletter, get exclusive tips, and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. I mentioned 2 games underway. There was a rain delay in Cincinnati, but they are finally underway as the Pirates go for the sweep. They've actually won 4 straight. Cincinnati had an opportunity here to really get into the wild card and then hold that place, but now they're still a game back of the Mets for that 3rd spot. They're tied with Arizona. Ashcraft and Lodolo on the bump in that game. Another game, Rays just tacked a 3 spot on, so behind Rasmussen, they lead 3-0 over the Orioles. Obviously, no playoff implications there, but it's certainly a game that if we like those tickets, do cash the same. Chris, anything you like in these 2 live games right now?
Yeah, I mean it's just the story of Cincinnati. They just don't like prosperity, and they go on these winning streaks and these losing streaks. Ashcraft's actually pitched pretty good. Lodolo's got a high ERA his last 3. He's given up a lot of hits, 19 hits in 15 innings, 5.4 ERA his last 3. So, it's a desperate spot. It's one of those ones where Cincinnati has to win, but they don't always win. I don't have plays on either of these games. Pittsburgh just got a 2-out single top of the first. So it's amazing, this Pittsburgh team, too. I mean, they've been so bad on the road all year, and now to win 2 in a row in the most important series of the year for Cincinnati. Just that's the way baseball is, right? Just crazy things happen.
With the Pirates going quietly in the top of the first or about to, the money line has shifted to Cincinnati minus 220. And the over-under is 7.5, juiced heavily to the under at minus 129. You and I have laughed. Pirates are good for 1 inning. So if Pittsburgh puts up a crooked number any inning, just bet their team total under because they may not score again the rest of the game. So something to keep an eye on. But you're right. And I discussed this the last couple of days. Baseball is very different than football and basketball just because you got to have it. We talk about situational handicapping and those other sports where that intensity and urgency and that energy does translate itself into positive outcomes, manifests itself. But baseball, it's like you tighten up. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing when the pressure mounts. And the flip side is if you're on the bubble, you're on the bubble for a reason. You've been unable to deliver in clutch moments or in necessity all season.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you watch the games last night, you could see the teams that were tightening up. The Toronto Blue Jays look like they're extremely tightened up right now. They're getting guys thrown out of the game. Vladdy got thrown out. Manager got thrown out. Things are just unraveling. They're blowing the American League East lead. They're obviously going to be in the playoffs, but it's just like you can just obviously the Detroit's the obvious example. Nothing's going right. They've lost what seemingly like every single game in September, and Cleveland keeps winning every single game. So yeah, these tight situations, some teams thrive in them, and other teams are just in full panic mode, and you can see it. They're not even coming back. I mean, they're not even. The Tigers are just kind of almost giving up. As soon as they don't have the lead, the game's kind of over. Toronto, I mean, granted they faced Crochet last night, but that was a pretty lifeless performance from their usually really fantastic offense. So I dabbled a little bit in the crochet market last night at 15 to 1 for Cy Young before the game. FanDuel and DraftKings kept it up the whole game at 15 to 1. This morning he's down to 10 to 1. I don't understand how it's Scooble minus 20,000. That doesn't make much sense to me. Crochet has him in every single category except ERA, and the ERA is 2.21 to 2.59. Way more strikeouts, more innings pitched, more quality starts, less losses. Team has a better record. Let's see what the voters say in November, but I think that's a pretty good value at 15 to 1.
I agree. He's been, the key for this rotation. He's been lights out. Wes and I both had him yesterday. I had him first five. Wes had the Red Sox first to 3 runs. He got there within 9 minutes of the game starting. So it's always nice to cash a ticket that quickly, even faster than a Nerfy or a Yerfy. I think Crochet should win it, but some voters, this market is shaped by people betting, tracking some voters being um, transparent with who they're voting for, right? So the Heisman, just to give people a little background, the Heisman is adamant. They do not want their voters telling who they voted for or who they're going to vote for because they want that ceremony the following Saturday to be private, right? So people can talk, obviously, but nobody gets muzzled in all these other awards. So I have buddies who are bettors who bet these awards markets who literally create spreadsheets because it's tough. Like in baseball, like Tim Kirkchin of ESPN may have a vote this particular year for National League MVP, but he doesn't have a vote for any other award. So they scatter it around. So you kind of have to figure it, and it changes every year. So you have to figure out who's got a vote for that actually specific awards market, and then you also have to figure out and read between the lines. But things change also. Scooble, maybe that play between the legs or whatever kind of rubs people the wrong way, and how he unraveled and blah blah blah, and then Crochet's been lights out. So I don't. Who knows what the winds blow in various directions? But I agree. Crochet feels like it's worth a bet at plus 1,300.
Well, what if Detroit doesn't make the playoffs? I mean, that has to factor in as well, wouldn't you think? Down the stretch, Scooble's
Should it?
only two
Should
and
it?
three, 2 and 3. Yeah, Tigers are 2 and 3 in his last 5 starts. I mean, that should kind of factor in. Since the All-Star break, the Red Sox are 8-1 in Crochet starts. So you would figure that would be a factor, not just the beginning of the season.
Well, yes, how you pitch all year, but I don't know if team success really is a factor in this market. If I'm a voter, I'm just going to vote for the best pitcher. But Crochet's numbers, in a lot of ways, as you alluded to a second ago, are superior to Scooble's. I mean, we're splitting hairs; both are great. I get it, but team success, it wouldn't affect me at all. It would not affect me at all for this particular award. Obviously, MVP, much different situation, but it wouldn't affect me. Or Gold Glove, it wouldn't affect me. But yeah, maybe that's a tiebreaker for some. I mean, these are open-ended interpretations for a reason. The leagues in all sports love having their voters sort of, excuse me, their voters determine their own sort of rationale on some of these, particularly MVP. So there's no guarantee of any of this.
Yeah,
All
you're
right. So
right. And so I mentioned it last night. I was telling some people, I'm like, oh, I grabbed 15 to 1, and somebody texted me back. He's like, yeah, but your whole bet is relying on Tim Kirchin. It's funny you brought him
right.
up. So we don't know how they're going to vote. But I just figured, based on the stats, I don't think the odds should be a coin flip, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens with the voters. But I just figured it was some decent value. It wasn't the biggest bet I've ever made, but if I will get rewarded handsomely if he does win, just 15 to 1. Why not?
Love it. I love it. No, I think it's smart. I think it's smart. Hey, the Orioles got on the board, so it's now 3-1, and they are through 3 innings. So Tampa Bay with the lead on the road. That live money line is minus 375. Total is 9, over minus 125. Pirates and Reds, the first two runners out for Cincinnati. Now we have a bottom of the first, 2 out. So the Nerfy 1 out away from cashing in. Let's turn the page to some of the marquee games. Let's get into Tigers, Guardians, Scooble's Detroit Tigers, as it's been really just remarkable what's happened to this Detroit squad. 8 straight losses, 1-11 in the last 12. They were 150 to 1. Excuse me. Cleveland was a 150 to 1 long shot to win the Central at the All-Star break, and now they're up by a game. Home stretch here. They've won 12 of 13, 17 of 19. They are home chalk, just like they were yesterday behind Bybee. And the Guardians Going to send Messick to the mound. Melton's going to go for Detroit as they try to kind of stop the bleeding in this meltdown. I said it yesterday. It's Guardians are past. Now, Tigers did get the early lead, but Cleveland rallied. I know you're big into win streaks and things like that, so I would imagine you're eyeing Cleveland here.
Yeah, I feel like the next three games we're going to talk about, all three teams are going in one direction, and the other three are going the other direction. And it would definitely be Cleveland or pass. The only question I have is Messick. I mentioned it last week. He's given up a lot of hits compared to his earned runs. So 29 hits in only 21 innings pitched and only 7 earned runs. So he's got some cluster luck, as they say. Melton's pitched pretty good the last three, 2.79 ERA. But definitely be Cleveland or pass. Nothing's going right for Detroit. Just kind of ride the streak. Maybe you play a Red Sox, Yankees, Cleveland, 3-team parlay, probably get you 4-1 or so. I just feel like these three teams, I feel like Yankees are going to clinch. Not clinch, but take over the first place by themselves today. I just saw the tightness in Toronto last night. Didn't like what I was seeing from the manager, their best players. But ever since Bo Bichette's gone out for Toronto too, it's been a little bit different lineup. And I would definitely be on Cleveland or pass. I don't really need to be because I'm holding the 40-1 most wins, which I still have a 2-win lead over Seattle. Still not comfortable because Seattle's playing Colorado. So it would definitely be Cleveland or pass for me.
What about the over? Because that's what's caught my eye at 7.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't oppose that because, like I said, Messick's given up a lot of hits. So he's had a lot of guys on base. He's just been lucky to get out with only 7 earned runs and 21 innings pitched. But to have 27 hits in that, at that time frame, that suggests he should be giving up about 14 runs, not only 7. So yeah, maybe this game finally, maybe Detroit says, hey, all hands on deck. We're going to go all out and try to push it to the limit here and get some runs. 7.5, pretty low total. Cleveland's been scoring runs too. I mean, for a team that had trouble scoring most of the season, it's a pretty incredible run what this team's been doing. I mean, this is just an historic couple of weeks for the Cleveland Guardians.
The reason it's just a lean, I can't pull the triggers because the Tigers have not scored more than 2 runs in 6 of their last 7 games. So it's a lot of 0, 1s, and 2s. And you mentioned Messick, like maybe they get to him. There's no need to get involved. I should have pulled the trigger yesterday on that Mets game. I really liked it. Was a strong lean. Should have pulled the trigger. I don't feel that strongly in this game. So we'll keep it moving here as the first inning does end in Cincinnati. Nerfy cashes there. You mentioned the Yanks. Well, they're pretty big favorites here as the Yanks wrap up their series with the White Sox minus 335 with Carlos Rodon on the bump. Davis Martin goes for the Southsiders, who've lost 10 of 11. They were a little frisky a couple of days ago. They had the lead in the late innings behind Shane Smith. The Yanks rallied, got the dramatic win. Yanks, you mentioned, tied atop the AL East with Toronto. They're 7-1 in their last 8. So they've certainly been on a roll here. Rodon, one of their big arms, but the bats have woken up for the Yanks. White Sox putting up limited resistance yesterday for sure. Is there value on the run line? Are they just in a groove where we can just bank on to just pummel the White Sox?
Yeah, he felt like the one chance the White Sox had was the first game of the series. The bullpen gave it away. Guys throwing the ball to the backstop with the tying run on third base, blew the game. And it's just one of those games. You just feel like the Yankees are going to take it. Only 25 road wins for the White Sox. Rodon's pitched great at home, 9-4, 2.87 ERA. In his last 4 starts, even better, 25 innings pitched, 17 earned runs. 17 hits, only 6 earned runs, a 2.16 ERA. And Martin for the White Sox, terrible on the road, 2-8, 4.42. He's at 4.03 the last 4 starts and 22 innings pitched, giving up 19 hits. So I expect the Yankees bats to score some runs tonight. I look for the Yankees to get the sweep. And if I do I don't have any bets tonight so far. I actually played a game that's not part of the playoff picture. But if I was going to play something, I think I might play a parlay with the 3 teams that I feel like are just going to get the sweep. Cleveland, Yankees, and Boston. And the Boston game is interesting because they're a plus price. Bayo's been a little shaky. We'll get to that game in a second. But I definitely think the Yankees are going to get this win. 46-31 at home. Just playing great. Like you said, the bats have woken up, hitting a lot of home runs. And the White Sox seem to be, after losing that first game, they got the early lead last night, and that just went away really quick. I just feel like the Yankees are going to get the sweep.
Okay, so the Amish electrician says, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Cleveland hasn't won anything yet, people. So we have the Amish farmer, the Amish electrician. Maybe we're going to have a full arsenal of workers here.
Well, they haven't won anything yet, but they own the tiebreaker over Detroit. So that's a pretty big factor. They also play a Texas team coming up next, the next 3 games. Texas has shut down their entire offensive roster. They've shut down pretty much the staff too. That's the one game I did play today. It's not in our rotation, but it's starting in about, I think it starts in like 20 minutes, or maybe is it 20 minutes or it starts in an hour and 20 minutes? Either way.
No, 17 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, 17 minutes. Texas has a lineup tonight where they're leading off Jock Peterson. They have Rowdy Tellez in the lineup, a backup catcher. There's no Seager, there's no Simeon, there's no, Langford's in shutdown as well. So the Texas lineup, which wasn't great hitting all year, has half their guys out. And I just feel like that's an under game today. I played that for an under 8. But that's who Cleveland's playing the next 3, a shutdown Texas Rangers team who's been eliminated for the playoffs. So I think I think Cleveland's going to, roll right into the playoffs. They have the tiebreakers over Detroit. They already have the lead in the division. Worst case scenario, they tie. They're still going to get the division over Detroit through the tiebreaker. So I know they haven't clinched anything yet, but I feel very confident in Cleveland heading into the postseason.
All right, so I just wanted to bring that up with Cleveland, but let's get into that Minnesota-Texas game because the Rangers are home favorites at -148. The over-under 8 juice to the under. It starts in 15 minutes from now. You mentioned Texas is punting on the rest of the season, so to speak. Is there value on the dog here with the Twinkies getting +123?
Yeah, you could maybe say that. The only problem is that Molly is pitching for Texas, and he's been outstanding at home, a 0.74 ERA, and he's been really good on the road. He's a totally different guy. But if his last time out, he scoreless outing, and just really good at home for whatever reason. Twins lineup isn't much of anything either. It's a day game. Both these teams, Twins going to get out of town. Rangers throwing out this makeshift lineup. I just really like the under today. Maybe just a quick game. I know Ober hasn't really pitched well at all for the Twins. So, if the Rangers had their regular lineup, I wouldn't be on this. But I just feel like this is going to be one of those quick day games. Not much in the lineup for Texas, and Molly pitching really well at home against a weak overall Twins lineup.
It's tempting to play the under 8, but you mentioned Bailey Ober's been terrible. But this is not a typical big league lineup either. So maybe he can handle things, and maybe the Twins don't do anything offensively, and it's a 5-1 game in favor of the Rangers, even with a makeshift lineup, because that's how I would play that game. So let's go back to the contenders. You mentioned the Red Sox, Bayo on the bump against Varland for Toronto, but he's just going to be an opener. Blue Jays are $1.41 home favorites, over under an 8. Right now, the Red Sox have the second wild card spot and a little bit of a cushion. Little bit. They're 2 games up on the 4th wild card team, if you will. You mentioned the Blue Jays crumbling a little bit. They've lost 6 of 7. They're spiraling. In a lot of ways, they're out. They may miss the playoffs here, so there's concern on that front. But sorry, not Toronto. They would be in as a wild card, but they're going to blow the division. You mentioned Bayo. Blue Jays going the opener route. I think that would be like the best way for Toronto to snap out of the skid. So it's one guy not having to hold down the entire Boston lineup. But I'm not going to lay lumber at $1.41 here either.
No, and the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen has not been anything fantastic. It's been the bats that have been getting this team out of trouble. A lot of comeback wins, a lot of one-run wins. Not a good sign. They had Bieber was supposed to pitch. I'm not sure what happened. Got pushed back. They said maybe Berrios. I wake up this morning. We have Varland, who hasn't started a game all year, 72 appearances. Yeah, he's 3.1 ERA, but he's probably going to go, 1, maybe 2 innings tops. The problem with Bayo has been the first inning. The last 2 games, he's given up 2 and 4 runs in the first inning. So if he can get through the first inning, maybe he can settle down. There was not much going on with the Blue Jays lineup last night. Obviously, that was due to Crochet, but sometimes a lineup gets in a little bit of a funk. The Red Sox bats the last 2 nights have had some we've talked about all year. They haven't had any cluster luck, haven't been able to string 3 hits together in an inning. They get a guy on all the time to lead off the inning and just can't get him in. It's been changing the last 2 nights. Some guys that haven't stepped up in a while. Yoshida with a home run last night. He's hitting really well up in Toronto. For some reason, he likes hitting up in Toronto. A bunch of Navarez has been hot. So I think the Red Sox get the sweep tonight, and that's probably going to propel the Yankees into the first place position, and Toronto into a wild card. You're going to see, like I mentioned a couple times already today, how stressed and tight the Blue Jays were. You're getting guys thrown out of games, important games. And I'm just not so sure the Blue Jays bullpen is going to be able to hold down the Red Sox lineup. I kind of like Bayo tonight. Just make sure he can get through that first inning. Keep an eye on it. That's where he struggled the most recently. But overall, he's had a great year for the Red Sox. 3.02 ERA on the road. I expect a little bit of a good performance from Bayo tonight.
Would you bet the Red Sox here if in a vacuum here?
Yeah, I would lean Red Sox, and I'm telling you, I haven't put it in yet, but I was playing with the numbers earlier. Cleveland, New York, Boston parlay plays about 4-1. You figure you're almost getting the free square with the Yankees, and I mean Cleveland. How do you not like Cleveland? So I just like the fact that you're getting Boston at plus money on a team that's won 2 in a row. Toronto's lost 2 in a row. They've lost 6 out of their last 7. They seem tight. They don't have a starting pitcher to go tonight, and I think it's just all the stars kind of aligning for Boston, who are finally getting the bats going. And like I said, this tight Blue Jays team doesn't seem to be on the right track in the last week of the season.
All right, so an underdog and then adding other legs to make it a parlay. Good stuff on that front. Let's check in on the red hot Mariners. The Indians have nothing on Seattle. They've won 16 of 17, clinched the AL West last night. You mentioned the big dumper going yard for number 60. Little champagne handicap here, something to keep in mind. They're wrapping up their series as a minus 250 favorite over the lowly Colorado Rockies, who are just pitiful here. Blaylock, no relation to Mookie, going for Colorado. I don't know yet who the Seattle starter is. Again, champagne flowing. I can't lay the 250 here. The Yankees were able to respond to their champagne betting angle, but I don't want to bet into it here and lay the 250.
Yeah, I would say I don't know if this is even out yet because the pitching matchup hasn't come up. I mean, obviously Blaylock's tough to back, so I wouldn't be backing him. But maybe just that we talked about it last week. These teams clinch, they kind of roll out a backup lineup, and you go under team total on the Mariners. I haven't seen what that number is. I'm definitely not going to bet Seattle. You figure they clinched. I don't know. It's just such a tough game to bet. I mean, who wants to bet Colorado?
I would agree.
They blew the game Tuesday night. They had it. They give up 3 runs, and the walk up, the bases clearing double by Naylor. So it's kind of the similar situation to the White Sox. They had the first game of the series against the Yankees. Colorado had the first game of the series versus Seattle. But once they blow that, same situation last night. Yankees blow out the White Sox. Seattle blows out the Rockies. So it's one you think Seattle will probably get, but because of all the celebration, they'll probably trot out their B team lineup, and maybe you'll look for an under team total if that number's out. I'm not sure if that number's out yet.
I'm checking right now. We should be okay here. Yeah, team totals are up. Team total for Seattle's 4.5, unders plus 105. So if you want to fade that lineup, but again, man, like the Rockies are terrible. And the Seattle's just in a groove. Who knows? There's such positive juju. You really want to bet into that?
No, I mean, I don't. I'm just trying to think of an angle. I'm not going to play it. I'm rooting for Colorado because if Colorado wins, I'm pretty much locked in for my Cleveland most wins in September. So rooting for Colorado. I was rooting for Colorado on Tuesday night, which would have been great, but I got a 2-game advantage. The tiebreakers at different books for these bets are just all over the place. So just rooting for a Colorado win. I just think maybe team total under is the way to go after the celebration.
No, I hear you. Maybe first 5, fade them, or first 5 overall under if you want to back it once you find out it's starting for Seattle. All right, we'll keep it moving because we talk about the Mariners. We got to talk about the Astros, who are 1 game back in the wild card thanks to 5 straight losses. Framber Valdez goes for Houston, but he's been a gas can. Look at these pitching numbers he's given up in his last few starts: 5 earned, 5 earned, 3 earned, 6 earned. Just been atrocious in the month of September with an ERA over 8. Slight favorite here. Athletics. We thought yesterday it was going to be JT Ginn, but it's going to be today. It's for me, it's Athletics or pass. This Astros team could be stick a fork in them kind of style here.
Yeah, you said they're 1 game back, but technically they're 2 games back because they lose the tiebreaker to Detroit. Detroit swept them in a series and a month ago, and then they took 1 out of 3, so they have a 4-2 lead on them. Detroit does. So Houston's in a world of trouble. They've lost 5 in a row. Valdez during the day, not too good either. 4.77 ERA. Ginn has pitched great of late. His last 3 starts, 15 innings pitched, only 12 hits, only 3 earned runs, 1.76 ERA. This would definitely be A's or pass. You gotta figure, like, it's one of those ones. Oh, Houston has to win, but they're just not winning. They've lost 5 in a row. They've blown the division. They've blown the wild card. And I don't have a play on the game, but maybe it's a 12:30 start over there. Maybe Houston just kind of, this is it. And if they don't win tonight, it's pretty much over. So I would be A's or pass.
Had to win the last couple of days. It doesn't manifest
Yeah,
itself
no,
properly. I'm
not saying they're going to win.
No, I know.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
The A's have been feisty. They've gone into a bunch of places the last couple of months of the season and just took 2 out of 3 at Fenway. They're taking 2 out of 3 from Houston here. It's just I don't know. This would be A's or pass for me. I don't have a play though on it.
What would you need to pull the trigger on the A's, like plus 110 kind of thing?
No, I mean that's not a horrible price because you figure there's a lot of money in the market that just says, oh, that has that feeling, oh, that Houston has to finally win. Or some people who keep, I knew somebody last week who kept playing Detroit, just kept doubling up, their bets on Detroit. And I kept telling them, I'm like, what are you doing here? The Tigers aren't winning. Like they don't have to win. Well, eventually they have to win. Well, no, they don't. They've lost 8 in a row. So, we just saw the Atlanta Braves win 10 in a row. The Miami Marlins won 8 in a row. Baseball is the craziest game of streaks. If you could ever just stick to it and just never get off the streak, you'll probably make a lot of money in this sport, but it's tough to do sometimes. All of a sudden Skubal comes in. Oh, I can't bet against Skubal. Well, sure enough, Skubal's lost his last 2 starts. I mean, the team has. So, it would definitely be the A's. But, maybe I'll get involved. We'll see how this Ranger game starts off. If it stays under for most of the way, maybe I'll pop in on the A's midway through here.
Okay. All right. Next game I am going to play. We have the Mets and Cubs, obviously playoff implication. New York holding on to the 3rd wild card spot, 1 game ahead of both Cincinnati and Arizona. And Nolan McLean going for New York, and he's been an absolute beast. A 1.27 ERA, skyrocketing this month because in August he was a 0.89. So this rookie's been outstanding. He's their ace. I'm backing him. Imanaga's going for Chicago. I know the Cubs, not exactly mailing it in because they're playoff bound, but it's now minus 109. I'm backing the Mets. The bat they have it. They're not spiraling like the Tigers are, like the Blue Jay. They're fine. I think they're going to get the win here. I'll bet a minus 109.
Yeah, I saw this on the board today, and I just remembered how he's your favorite pitcher in Major League Baseball, McLean. So I knew you'd be on the Mets today. I can't complain. I mean, he's got all the stats. His last 4, he's 1.61 ERA, as you mentioned. Great his 7 or 8 starts. He's been fantastic. He's good on the road, 2-1, 2.45, and he's great during the day, 1-0 with a 0.55 ERA. So it looks like all systems go. The only problem is the Mets stink on the road, 32-45. They got the miracle win on Tuesday night. They lose last night. Cubs saw it at home, 47-30. Cubs need 1 more win to get the number 1 wildcard spot where they would host the Padres. So those 2 teams seem locked in unless the Padres swept and Cubs lost out. I I can't blame you for backing McLean. I'm not going to bet the game. It's a interesting one to watch. I like the Mets. I like watching the Mets and Cubs. I like good teams from big cities. So yeah, good luck with McLean. He's got all the numbers for a victory tonight.
There's ways to bet it. We did this yesterday. We discussed it because you had Crochet going for Boston, and Scherzer just was fragile, and the Mets are the road team here. So I'm gonna make kind of double bet this thing. So I like the Mets at -109, and I'm also gonna play first team to 3 runs. So a race to 3 runs. Now it's three-way betting. So if some team wins 2-0, you lose. Sorry, yeah, you don't get your money back. It's three. The Mets have to get to 3 runs, and they have to be the first one there. But they're the road team, so I'll lay -121 because I really want to isolate McLean. Let's say he gives up a 1 or 2 spot early, they can still kind of rally and do all that. So I like the Mets first to 3 runs in that regard, and I think the bats are hot. So um, I think Imanaga has given up 3 earned and a bunch of starts in a row. He's been shaky in a lot of ways, just not, the nasty Imanaga keeping batters off balance. He's given up 3 earned in 5 straight starts. I think the Mets bats have a potent lineup, and they're not, like I said, they're not super tight or anything like that. So I'll roll with the Mets and that prop of first to 3 runs.
Yeah, I mean, Imanaga's last 4 starts, a 4.91 ERA. So I echo your sentiments there. I think the Mets probably get this one, and yeah, good luck with McLean. I like it.
All right. So, and we're updating some other scores going on. We're still scoreless in Cincinnati, I should say. So, obviously, a big game for the Reds to avoid the sweep and obviously get back in the wild card race here. A game back. They're headed to the bottom of the third, still scoreless between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Still 3-1 in Baltimore. Tampa with the lead, but they got 2 on and 1 out in the 5th inning. So maybe some first 5 over under hanging in the balance on this at bat, but the Rays trying to break the game open on a game that does not have playoff implications, but obviously people betting it out there. Let's go out west. I mentioned the Reds a game back in the wild card. So are the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers shockingly blew a lead 4-1 in the 8th yesterday. I have a buddy who's been betting the Dodgers and the run line the last few games. He's on monitoring him in these late innings. They did get the win, so they blew it. Didn't score in the 10th with the ghost runner, but the bullpen did avoid giving up a run, and then they get the win. They do score in the 11th and hang on. So nice job by the bullpen on the back end, but not in the 8th inning. Kershaw had to come out of the bullpen. Sasaki came out of the bullpen throughout the middle innings. And so the Dodgers now, magic number to win the National League West is 1. They just have to win a game or get the Padres to lose a game, and they will clinch the NL West. Minus $1.80 favorite. Yamamoto's on the bump. He's been fantastic. D-backs going with Beeks. It's an opener situation. I hate betting against Yamamoto, but I can't lay the $1.80 either.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like the Dodgers. I mean, there's like the five games. If you just kind of feel the room, it's the Dodgers, A's, Red Sox, Yankees, Cleveland. I could see all 5 of them continuing on their winning ways. And the bullpen is a disaster. I had a friend at the game last night, and jokingly, I was rooting against the Dodgers, obviously for our Padres bet. It's pretty much dead. But it was pretty cool to see Kershaw come out of the bullpen and get the job done. I mean, that was pretty ballsy from Dave Roberts and from him. And I really appreciated that. Even though I was rooting against them, I thought that was a pretty cool moment for Kershaw to come in. And you just see this game today. I mean, all the factors for the Dodgers, they're great during the day, 26 and 17. Yamamoto 1.78 during the day. His last 3 starts, 21 innings pitched at a .86 ERA. Yamamoto has only given up 3 hits in 21 innings his last 3 starts. So all systems go for the Dodgers. It looks like they're going to clinch the division today.
I think the odds makers need to adjust. Usually these splits between the first 5 money line and the game money line are pretty wide when it comes to like Paul Skeens, right? When Skeens is on the bump, the first half money line is weighted heavily. Trying to think of another like Scooble, but the bullpen's not that bad. The Dodgers need that treatment. Right now, the first 5 money line is -177. How is it basically the same when you have this Dodgers bullpen that gives up runs? Yes, they held on in the 10th and the 11th, and then you get more at bats with that lineup. But I mean, Will Smith's not in the lineup, and they got some. So I would make like Yamamoto like 195 in the first 5, and I'd make the game line like 170 or something like that. That's what it should be with this bullpen. Um, so if you're going to bet the Dodgers, I strongly recommend first 5. Yes, you can get a push, and that's okay. It's better than betting. And you can always bet live after the 5 innings if you really like the Dodgers and wish you didn't have a push, because this bullpen is not something you want to bank on.
Yeah, you just can't keep bringing in Blake Trinan and Tanner Scott every night. It's just not working, and it's why I really don't take the Dodgers very seriously in the playoffs. Same with the Yankees; their bullpen is just not that good. And two best bullpens, I mean, the three best bullpens I would say right now are Cleveland, Boston, and San Diego. So we'll see what happens come playoff time, because the games are managed differently. As soon as there's any threat of a guy on, the starter comes out, and the bullpens come in. A team like the Dodgers, they're going to have to get a lot of innings out of the starters, or they're going to have to move Ohtani to the bullpen. We'll see what happens there. I just can't trust any of these back end guys on the Dodgers. But yeah, to your point, maybe you just play it first 5. But Yamamoto, he's been going deeper in the game. He's averaging 7 innings his last 3, so he's been pretty much unhittable. You got to figure the Dodgers wrap it up tonight or today.
Right, you would think, but I recommend betting the first 5. Okay, the Orioles got out of the jam, so now they're in the bottom half of the 5th. If you have the under first 5, you're hanging in there. 3 more outs to go, so they're bottom 5, 3-1 Rays with the lead. Reds are threatening here. 2 on, first and second, nobody out. In the 4th inning here. Third inning, and the live line is minus 275, over under 5.5. So we'll see if the Cincy bats can actually deliver and avoid the sweep, not get back, but tighten things up in the wild card race. All right, Chris. So they're underway in Texas, Minnesota with a leadoff home run, just like that.
Yeah, first pitch, Buxton.
Yeah, Byron Buxton goes yard. Would you know it, right? Any other games and any things to mention before? You and I are both done for the week in betting weekly shows, so we won't be back till next week with the playoffs. Anything else? Another game catch your eye? Any futures? Anything to pass along?
I would just say, if you're going to be playing some futures, if you just extrapolate the Dodgers and the Yankees from your equation, and you start looking around at the value of some of these other teams, I think there's some good numbers. I'm going to look at some World Series exactas once the playoffs are set, and I'm not going to use the Dodgers and the Yankees because you're going to get really good value. Based on my experience of watching baseball, if you don't have a good bullpen, you're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs. And neither one of these teams have good bullpens. Yes, they have the star-studded lineups and big-name starting pitchers, but I just know that the bullpen is the most important part in the playoffs, and those tense situations become even more tense when October rolls around. So just that's just my advice. Look for some value, not using the Dodgers and the Yankees for some futures moving forward.
Okay. And we'll have much more breakdown next week when Chris and I are back on the shows, but we do have a show tomorrow. Adam the Bull will be back, so make sure you tune in for that. Just during this show, Chris, Garrett Crochet has gone from plus 1,200 to plus 850 for the American League Cy Young Award. So I don't know if it's coincidence. I don't know if we're moving markets here. I like it. I like the sound of it. We have great interaction here. Just want to pay off some of the people pay off. It's a TV term, not actually pay them off. Lessman in the chat says A's plus 170, double result in my pocket. Obviously, A's hosting the Astros. Double result would be win the 5, win the game. I like that. Steve from Lynn, Boston money line. Thanks, guys. Petey says PSA, just fade my Reds. Well, they got 2 runners on. Like I said, nobody out. And then Marte strikes out. Gavin Lux strikes out. So it's up to Spencer Steer here with still runners on first and second. Man, it is tough going. Wes is our resident Reds fan, so I'm sure he's on pins and needles watching things. Steve from Lynn says Sox win, helped the Yankees win the division, which that wasn't true. Yeah, so do the Red Sox, but they're focused on getting into the playoffs, and maybe it just sets the table. We could have some great playoff matchups, Chris. I mean, the Red Sox could play the Yanks, Dodgers. It could be some really interesting playoff matchups if the bracket holds through, but we got a ways to go on that. All right, Chris, you're back next week on Betting Weekly Hardball. Best of luck to everyone out there. the rest of today. And obviously, Adam Bull holding down the fort tomorrow, like I said. And then Betting Weekly Fast Break will return tomorrow with Sarah as the WNBA playoffs resume after they move cities. Game 3s tomorrow in the semifinals. So for Chris Macero and everyone behind the scenes who does such an awesome job, Andrew and Alex producing, and then the entire team, I'm Doug Kezirian. Best of luck with your wagers, and we'll see you back here next time.